So when you hear artificial intelligence, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's this big, single, kind of futuristic concept, right? But here's the thing. AI isn't just one thing. It's this massive, sprawling field. And to really get a handle on it, you need a framework, a better way to look at it. Today, we're going to do just that. We'll explore AI through two really powerful lenses that are, I think, going to completely change how you see it.
Okay, first things first, let's get on the same page with a basic definition. AI, it's not a physical object, right? It's the ability for a man-made system to understand or think. And that distinction is super important. AI is the software, not the clunky hardware it runs on. It really is the ghost in the machine, if you want to think about it that way.
So, with this huge field, how do we even begin to make sense of it all? Well, we're going to use a simple, but honestly, a really effective framework. We're going to look at AI through two totally different lenses, and this approach is going to help us sort and categorize everything, from the Siri that's probably in your pocket right now, all the way to those super smart sentient robots you see in the movies.
All right, here's the game plan for this explainer. We'll start by introducing our two lenses. Then we're going to dive deep into each one, first looking at AI by its capability, and then by its functionality. After that, we'll zero in on the kind of AI we actually have right now, take a peek at the AI of tomorrow, and then wrap it all up by thinking about where we're headed, our collective AI future.
You can think of this as our master map. It's the whole framework in one shot. Over on the left, we've got Lens 1, which sorts AI by capability. That's basically asking the question, how smart is it? Then on the right, you've got Lens 2, sorting by functionality. That's asking, how does it actually think? We're going to break all of this down, so let's jump right in.
All right, let's kick things off with that first lens, capability. Honestly, this is probably how most of us already think about AI, even if we don't realize it. The core question we're asking here is super simple. Just how powerful is this thing's intelligence?
What this lens does is it gives us a really clear, let's call it a capability ladder. We start on the bottom rung with narrow AI. That's the stuff that exists today. Then we climb up to the next level, the theoretical general AI, and finally, we reach the top with the speculative super AI. Let's break down each one of those rungs.
So first up, narrow AI. You might also hear it called weak AI. And here's the key thing. This is the only type of AI we've actually built and perfected so far. It's an absolute master at one specific job. But it can't do anything outside of that single specialty. It's kind of like a genius specialist who knows everything about one thing and nothing about anything else.
And you know what? You're using narrow AI all the time, every single day. When you ask Siri for the weather forecast, that's narrow AI. When you unlock your phone with your face, yep, that's it too. Or when Netflix suggests a movie at things you love, that's all narrow AI in action. It's incredibly powerful, for sure, but also incredibly focused. Okay, moving up the ladder, we get to general AI or strong AI. Now we're wading into science fiction territory. Think of a character like Data from Star Trek. We're talking about a machine that can learn and reason across a whole bunch of different fields, just like a human can. It would be the ultimate multitasker, but for now, it's totally theoretical.
And then, at the very top of that ladder, we've got super AI. This is a hypothetical intelligence that wouldn't just be as smart as a human, it would dramatically surpass us in, well, every way. From solving complex scientific problems to having incredible social skills, the source material even points out that it could develop its own emotions, its own desires, its own beliefs.
And that idea, well, it leads to a huge, really profound question. If we actually succeed in creating something that's smarter than we are, how on earth do we control it or regulate it? This isn't just a tech problem. It's one of the biggest, thorniest ethical puzzles our species might ever have to solve.
Okay, time to switch gears. We've looked at how smart an AI can be. Now, let's grab our second lens, functionality. This time, we're going to pop the hood, look inside, and ask, how does this thing actually work and think?
And just like our first lens, there's a clear progression here, another kind of ladder. We're going to move from the most basic, purely reactive systems, up to machines that can learn from the past, then to ones that can understand intentions, and finally, to the hypothetical peak, achieving actual consciousness.
So let's make this stuff real. We're going to start with the two types of functional AI that are not science fiction. In fact, they're probably running on your devices as we speak.
The big difference between these two? It's all about time. On the left, you've got reactive machines. Think of IBM's Deep Blue, the chess computer. It lives only in the present moment. It sees the board right now and makes the best move. It has zero memory of past moves. But on the right, you've got limited memory AI.
And this is key. It can look back. A self-driving car, for example, has to remember the speed of the car in front of it from a few seconds ago to know what to do next. That's the massive leap forward.
You know, pretty much all the AI you and I use today falls into this limited memory bucket. Self-driving cars use it to keep track of traffic. A chatbot uses it to remember what you said 2 sentences ago so the conversation makes sense. It's this ability to learn from recent historical data that makes modern AI so incredibly useful.
So, okay, that's the AI of today. But what about tomorrow? Let's climb the next 2 rungs on this functionality ladder. These are the big ideas that researchers are actively chasing as we speak.
That next big step is something called theory of mind AI. This is all about social intelligence. It's not just about crunching numbers. It's about understanding that other people and other beings have their own thoughts, feelings, and intentions. An AI with a theory of mind could interact with us on a whole new level, a much more natural, maybe even empathetic way.
And that, of course, leads us to the ultimate kind of mind-bending goal, self-aware AI. Now we're talking about actual consciousness, an AI that doesn't just process our emotions, but has its own feelings. I mean, that's the moment a machine would stop being a very sophisticated tool and would become, well, something else entirely. Now, let's be clear, we are a very long way from achieving any of this. But even just as concepts, they force us to wrestle with some of the deepest questions out there. Questions about consciousness, about identity, and even about what rights an artificial being should have, if any.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together now. We've looked at AI through the lens of capability, how smart is it? And through the lens of functionality, how does it think? So, what does this all mean for our future? Here's the big takeaway. When you put these 2 lenses together, you get this incredibly clear map. We can pinpoint exactly where we are right now. We're living in the world of narrow AI that uses limited memory. See? This framework helps cut through all the noise and the hype. It shows us the real journey that's ahead, and it highlights the massive leaps we still need to make to get from where we are today to something that's genuinely general, let alone self-aware.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? As we keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, we have to remember this critical balance. It's not just about a race to build smarter and smarter machines, it's about building them responsibly. Innovation and ethics, they have to go hand in hand. They just can't be separate conversations.
Which leaves us with one last, pretty crucial thought to chew on. Every single line of code being written today, it's a building block for the AI of tomorrow. So maybe the most important question isn't, what can AI do, but rather, what do we want it to become? As we're designing the intelligence of the future, what human values are we deciding to build into its foundation, right here, right now?